and welcome to Round Robin. I'm your host, Robin McCormick with the City of Hampton, and today we're going to tackle the exciting topic of stormwater and ditches. And I know that doesn't sound exciting, but it is really important to flooding, to our ecosystem, to a clean bay, and clean waterways. My guests are Quincy Daniel and Chris DeHart from Public Works. Welcome.
Thank you. Good morning. Yep.
How do you stay excited about ditches? Like it just sounds like, kind of a gross topic, and you do it every day.
Yes, ma'am. When you care about the environment, then you really get excited about the outcome of what you do every day because it impacts what we do and the waterways when we clean the ditches.
So things have changed for you in your career tremendously between what you used to do to maintain ditches and the rules now. Explain how all of that has shifted.
Well, we would always clean ditches. That hasn't changed.
That part's solid.
Right. It's just the way that we go about cleaning them. So we use a solid practice of making sure that we control what we allow to go through the system. So we have permits that are required for us to clean certain areas to allow the water to pass through freely. So that is the biggest requirement now.
So there's a conflict between what's supposed to happen in a wetlands or a natural area where everything's undisturbed and the need to get stormwater from the public built-up areas kind of to move through. And you guys had to go get a bunch of federal permits to do what you've always been doing.
Yeah, the natural area helps filter the water.
It's important.
Yes, it is very important. But actually cleaning the ditches helps move the water to the natural area where it gets clean. So it's a common balance that we try to keep, the cleaning of the ditches and not disturbing any wetlands that don't need to be disturbed. But often we need to go remove blockages and lower buildups in the ditches to let the water move freely.
Well, because the natural areas aren't 100% natural. If I live in a nearby neighborhood and there's leaves that build up, that wash into my ditch, and that begin to clog up a natural area, it can't do what it's supposed to do either. It's stuck, right?
Right. It does get stuck, and that's when we have to go out there and perform maintenance and remove. And when we do it, we look at the overall conditions of the whole outfall system. So that will trigger us to see if we need to do maintenance on the entire system. So that's a good indicator that we need to go out there and remove a whole lot of sediment and debris.
How do you monitor the ditches? I mean, we have miles and miles. How many, that you maintain?
Right now, we maintain roughly around 390 miles of open ditch.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's quite a bit.
And how do you keep an eye? I mean, you know where some of the trouble spots are, but...
Well, we have a ditch maintenance schedule, and we put everything on a reoccurring plan, and we try to get to all the ditches at least twice a year. Some we have to get to more than that because they require a whole lot of maintenance because of their surroundings and the habitat and what actually happens on that ditch. So a lot more debris, a lot more trash that we have to look at that time.
So I'm going to get to Chris for a second here. I always think of you as the mosquito guy, but you do other environmental things as well.
Right.
How are the stormwater ditches important environmentally?
Well, they move, basically, the city has what's an MS4 plan, Municipal Separate Storm Sewer System Plan. It conveys the water from basically impervious area, basically ends up in the bay. Where I come in is...
So the problem is, in the natural world before asphalt,
right.
The water comes down, the ground holds it, absorbs it, filters it, it goes to the bay. Now, more than half of Hampton? Oh, that's a guess. But a big chunk of Hampton is paved. There's a house on it, there's concrete, there's asphalt, there's roads, and there's no place for that water to absorb, so it runs off, right?
Yep.
Right.
Okay.
So...
And with it comes the oils and the antifreeze that's dripped out of our cars, and
a tremendous amount of pollutants hit the system. We test. Basically, we have a program called illicit discharge detection and elimination. It's mandated by our MS4 permit. We basically check industrial sites, commercial sites, residential sites. We test the water and just see what's there. If we find something, the whole thing is to find it, track it back, and remediate. So And along with that, we do what's called B&P inspections, which a lot of people see these. They're like
They're ponds.
little ponds.
Let's call them ponds.
Right.
ponds, or there's other structures and things that some are designed to treat, some are designed to stop heavy flows. But we inspect those to make sure they're functioning correctly, both private and public sector B&Ps, and all with the goal of just cleaner water to the bay. I mean that's the ultimate goal here. So.
Now, a lot of folks who live near open ditches hate them. They would much rather everything be covered over and be within a pipe and, be more attractive. It doesn't hold as much though, right? It's not as effective at moving the water in terms of flooding and in terms of health for the bay.
Right. Ditches hold more water by volume because you have a larger capacity for it to go through. Now, when you put pipes in, they have to be sized. They have to be engineered. They check the flow rates to make sure the pipes are big enough to convey the water. Because if not, you'll have a lot more flooding going on.
A lot of backup.
Right, because
yeah.
you get constriction from the pipe.
So the ditches really help the Chesapeake Bay and
Yes.
the oceans and, the world's waterways be healthier.
Yes, they help filter the water and take out all the impurities that flow through it, daily stuff from trash, dog waste. It helps filter anything that comes through there.
And of course, for most of us, we want the health of the bay, but a lot of people's primary concern is flooding. And there's a feeling sometimes that, the ditches might back up. I mean, that's kind of part of what they're designed for, but it could cause problems. How can we as residents minimize problems? I know you told me once that we shouldn't be in there with our weed eaters knocking back what is growing in those ditches. That's a hard thing.
Right. It is, but we need some growth on it. Grass growing in the ditch is good because it helps filter the water. But
And it keeps more dirt from coming in and
does.
filling up,
It does.
right?
It relieves the erosion.
It does.
Exactly.
The roots of whatever that vegetation is hold in the dirt.
it does. It helps from a lot of sediment buildup because when you have a good solid root base, it holds the soils in place.
Okay, so what are some things that we can do to better let the water flow better in those ditches?
Keep your yards as clean as possible. If you see any leafy debris that's falling off the tree in your yard, the wind will blow it into the ditch, into the catch basin. So removing a lot of that stuff, any trash that you see laying around, because a good rain, good wind, it blows all of the stuff in the ditch and then it clogs up. That's what causes most ditches to back up.
So really, you're telling people not to litter and to clean up nature's litter a little bit, shred your mulch, bag your leaves, whatever you do. Use a mulching mower so you don't have those big clumps that are washing in, but that are decomposing.
Keep the grass clippings out too.
Does it just fall in there, or do we have some people who are?
Yeah, we get a tremendous amount of 3-1s. People blowing grass into the street or blowing leaves in the street. It just ends up in the system.
So
causes
yeah,
more
whether you
maintenance.
have an open ditch or whether you have a sewer ditch, it's the same thing. Because if you clog that with your grass clippings, it's not going to hold the water.
Right.
It's going to be too full, and you guys are going to have to come in the middle of a storm and clean up after our mess.
Plus, mosquitoes like organic water, so to breed, so a certain species. So it's kind of a dual-edged sword there.
So explain what you're talking about. They breed more in
Well, yeah, there's a particular
water with
mosquito.
goo in it.
Right. Well, they do. It draws
My
them in.
technical scientific explanation.
They're drawn to
Decay.
water. Yeah, exactly. And the more it stinks, the more they want to lay their eggs in it, and obviously creates a problem. Plus, the organic matter blocks the pipes, so the water does build up in, let's say, CDIs or shallow ditches. It gives a perfect habitat for mosquitoes. So
if the ditches are flowing the way they're supposed to, we don't
Washes it
have
out.
that standing water nearly as often because it moves. It
Precisely.
goes where it's supposed to go, when it's supposed to go there.
Right.
So people can reduce the mosquito population in Hampton by not throwing trash in the ditches and by cleaning up the leaves and grass clippings and stuff in their yard so that it doesn't flow in either to the ditches or to the pipes, right?
Yep, or the streets. Keep it out of the streets because the streets have curb and gutter typically. Going to direct it right into the storm system. So I think a lot of people think, they'll see a grate and they just think it's treated or something. But I mean,
where does it, we
it's
don't
a separate
see
system.
it.
Yeah,
It's different. If you see the ditch, you kind of know what's going on.
Right.
But those of us who live in curb and gutter neighborhoods, I've seen a lot of people blow their stuff around.
It's easy to get rid of it that way, right? Blow it back in your yard. I mean,
That's what I do because I want it to decompose. I don't want to have to buy fertilizer. It's expensive. It's a pain to put down. But if I can mulch those grass clippings and blow it all back into the grass, I'm fertilizing with what I already have.
Mother Nature gives you everything you need right there.
Of course, my yard might be a little more weeds than grass, but it's green.
I can't really talk
Right.
either. So,
Well, so what else do people need to know about stormwater and about ditches?
We try to look at every ditch on a routine basis, but we do need the help of the residents to let us know when something is not operating correctly. So we welcome the 311 calls in because that actually helps us in our maintenance efforts to be proactive other than reactive because, when the storm comes, everybody's ready for all the rain.
Right.
But if you let us know ahead of time, then we can go out and assess the situation and see what's going on and try to eliminate the problem before it actually causes a problem.
So that's, again, another way where citizens can save taxpayer money because you don't have enough people to be inspecting the same sites repeatedly. But if they look out their backyard, side yard, road they're driving through and spot a problem and call 727-8311 because they're in their phone, in their car on the phone, or email, it's real easy to email them 311@hampton.gov, and then you can send people out to a problem, and your folks are very productive because they're working rather than checking areas all the time.
Right.
also, the website has an access where people can put a request in too. So
Yeah,
I
right. They can
encourage
go to
people to check out.
hampton.gov/311. And there's a lot of ways
Right.
that people can partner with city government to give you guys the information that you need to take appropriate action. And it saves them money in the long run, and it helps them because if there's a ditch problem in their neighborhood, it's going to back up onto their property.
Yeah, absolutely.
Chances are.
Most likely before we get there. So yeah, you better to clean your grate off.
Yeah.
Just clean it off.
We like to get there before the storm to everybody, but
It's impossible.
Yeah, it is. It's very impossible to go to every house before it rains.
So you guys, you have to tromp around a lot of backyards, alleyways, those kind of forgotten access points, right? That's the other thing is, for people to just keep an eye out on what's going on in their neighborhood.
Yeah, that would be very helpful because a lot of drainage is out of sight and you don't even know it's there and it's causing a problem. So if they're looking around and they see something, that would be very helpful for us to know that they see something we can go check and make sure that everything is operating correctly.
Okay. Is there anything else we need to know about water quality and stormwater?
No, not really. The one thing I just want to touch on is a lot of people don't realize that the stormwater operations is tasked with a lot of different, tasks. We do land disturbance inspections, we do stormwater management, pest control, obviously stormwater maintenance. So, we got a lot of things to do, and so a little bit of help from the public would be greatly appreciated, and with some of the smaller things. So, yeah.
That's great. And again, saves the taxpayer money if they partner with their city government to be the most effective that we can be. Land disturbance, and I'm just going to say, this is one of those things, that's like a permit that I never heard of, that most people don't think about. But it is more, because of environmental regulations, much more complicated to do what we used to do kind of routinely.
Right.
You have to think about when you're putting down more impervious pavement. You have to think about how that construction affects the area around it, not just, your own property. You have to really pay a lot more attention to what from your construction site might be running off into the common,
Yeah,
the common
we're really
area.
concerned with the sediment side of it.
Right.
So typically permitting will they'll give the permit and we'll do the inspection sides of it. But yeah, I mean, we really new laws and regulations, we're becoming tighter on it. And there's reasons for it,
Oh, absolutely. It's all for good purpose, but it costs us more. It's a little more work.
Oh, yeah.
And it's a little more work on the business side, too. I mean, it's more for everybody because we're paying to protect the environment and in
Precisely.
a lot of ways clean up some things that have happened over the years before these requirements existed.
Right.
The biggest benefit, we get to save the bay from all of our actions.
And it's important. It's important for our recreation. We all love it. We live on the water. It's important for flooding control. It is our livelihood. A lot of people still, make their living from seafood or recreation on the bay. I
Right.
mean, it is very important to life in Hampton and all of our many, many miles of shoreline.
Yes.
Okay, well, thank you guys so much. I appreciate learning about it. It's much more exciting to talk about than it sounds like it's going to be.
Right.
And thank you for watching. I hope you have learned the importance of your stormwater ditch and that you will partner with the city and call 311 if you see a problem and try to help keep debris from going into those ditches. Don't put any in there and help clean up what's on your property right around those ditches. Thank you so much for watching.